Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's webinar on landing pages. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Jaffe. I think that most of the people on this webinar are either Lawlytics members already or friends of Lawlytics, and so I'm going to spare you the long introduction and bio on myself. But here's my credentials. I've been a practicing lawyer since 1998 and have been in tech now full time for about the last 7 years. The last 5 years, I've been the co-founder and CEO of Lawlytics. We have a mix of Lawlytics members and some non-members on here as well. And so who is this session for? If you're a Lawlytics member already, and you want to be able to convert targeted visitors to your website in greater percentages and with greater ROIs, this webinar is for you. We're going to go over how to create landing pages using Lawlytics in a way that a lot of attorneys are underutilizing in their practices, and so we'll get you up to speed on that. And this webinar is really for any attorney who wants to get better results and better ROI from any pay-per-click advertising that they might be doing, any social media activities or marketing when you send people newsletters from your firm, etc. The goals of this session are quite simple. We want to define what a landing page is and how you use it. We want to discuss what you want to put on a landing page to make it effective, and then give you a demonstration on how to create a very simple but effective landing page. I expect that this webinar is going to run roughly a half an hour, although I've been known to grossly underestimate the amount of time that I talk for. We've got about 18 slides total, and I'll try to get that through them pretty rapidly. Once we get through the slides, which I expect will take maybe 20 minutes or so, we'll do the demonstration, and what we'll do is we'll build a landing page with Lawlytics by starting out by building a form specific to that landing page, creating the page, and then showing you how to add some simple decorative elements as well as the form to that page. And then we'll conclude the webinar, and then for those of you who want to stick around, we'll open it up for questions and answers. We'll go as long as people stick around and have questions after that. This webinar is being recorded, and we will make the webinar recording available shortly hereafter. Usually we get it up and on the internet within the couple days or so. So if for any reason you need to drop off during this webinar, feel free to do so. You won't miss anything. The slides and the video of this will be available, and so no need to take notes unless you're into that kind of thing as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. When we talk about landing pages in this webinar, we're talking about a very specific kind of page. And let me go through and define the other pages that we've talked about in previous webinars. The ones in blue here are what most attorneys focus on, whether they're on Lawlytics or not. We have several webinars on creating substantive pages. Substantive pages, as well as blog posts and about pages, which I'll describe in a little bit more detail, are the pages that you really use to not only educate your clients, potential clients, and referral sources, but also to attract the search engines and really establish yourself as a leader, both in the search engines and as a thought leader amongst the public and your peers. So the substantive pages are just as they sound. They're descriptions of the law. They might go into great detail. And if you want to get more information on those, if you haven't already, check out our webinars that we have archived and on demand on that topic. Blog posts are a great way of constantly communicating with clients. All Lawlytics websites have a built-in blog. If you're on Lawlytics, we highly encourage you to use it. It's one of the best ways to keep content fresh in your website and really create a conversation with your followers. And then about pages, it's kind of a catch-all for things like your location pages, which can be a lot more than just your address and map, your attorney bio pages, pages that talk about things that you've done, case results, representative clients, and so forth, and then recommendation pages as well. So those are pages about your firm. And all of these pages are extremely useful in the search engines and in the normal client conversion process. The landing pages that we're going to, and by the way, all of those can be landing pages. In general, a landing page is anything that somebody might enter your website using. We're going to get a little more specific in this webinar, and we're going to talk about pages that you're specifically driving people to. So for the purposes of this webinar, the scenario is something, well, we'll get to that in just a moment. Let me talk about the foundation of a landing page. So for those of you who have done other Lawlytics webinars, this pyramid will look familiar to you. We use this as an illustration in a lot of different scenarios. Here, obviously, the information is different than if we were talking about client personas or blog post hierarchy or anything like that. But here, where does your landing page fit in? So you've got your law firm's website, and it's going to be a page on your website, and you want targeted traffic with a specific goal. So whether that goal is to contact your firm, whether it's to request a download, whether it's to get on your mailing list, whether it's to attend an event that you're doing, whatever the case may be, you want a goal that you're driving them to. That's where the landing page comes in. And the landing page is designed to convert the visitor into somebody who has completed whatever user action you want them to complete on your site. Let's just look at a quick example of a landing page. So the easiest way for me to illustrate it is how each of you got here today. So this is a search in Google for building effective landing pages for law firms. You'll see that the first organic listing here after the 2 paid advertisements is for this webinar registration. Now, if you're in attendance today, likely you entered through one of several sources. You might have found us in the search engines. You might have responded to a social media post, a group in LinkedIn perhaps. You might be on subscribed to our mailing list, either for our newsletter and gotten the announcement last Friday, or for our webinar updates and gotten the announcement yesterday. You may have gotten the link from a friend. But however you got it, in order to be in attendance at this webinar, you inevitably went through this particular page. And this is an example of a landing page that compels a very specific action, and that is to register or reserve your spot to attend this webinar. Now, various actions that you want to drive are going to have various imperatives. For a webinar that's at a defined moment in time, in this instance now, having this countdown timer makes sense because here it's coming. You don't want to miss it. We need you to put it on your calendar and all that, but we need you to register before the webinar actually happens. Now, after today's webinar, what's going to happen to this landing page is it's going to look very similar, except the countdown timer is going to go away. And instead of saying register now, that same form will be there. But once we get the on-demand one up, it will say watch now. And so will the call to action, meaning this, this green button here that currently says reserve my spot. So when you look at building a landing page, the advantages of a landing page are oftentimes missed on web vendors. And so if you're paying somebody outside of Lawlytics to do marketing for you, especially we see this with pay-per-click marketing, there are some serious advantages. So one, and we'll get into a little bit more detail in a moment, but a landing page will result in a higher percentage of visitors converting. For example, with our landing page, we typically have people signing up for our webinar at least 75% conversion rate, meaning that 3 out of every 4 people that go to the page actually end up signing up for the webinar. And they typically start filling out the form within about 15 seconds. You want to have a page that removes distractions. So if you have a call to action on a regular page, that's great. You want people to digest the information and do what you want them to do, even on a substantive page or a blog post. But if you're paying to drive traffic specifically to your website, or you're spending efforts on social media and you want them to take an action, it's better to remove the distractions. And so clutter is our enemy when it comes to landing pages. You want to give your potential clients or whoever you're trying to drive to take action, clear instructions on what to do. And the overall effect is that having good landing pages will drive down, sometimes very drastically, the cost of your advertising. So what does a landing page do? Well, the traffic comes in, and that can be traffic, like I said, from a search engine, from social media, from pay-per-click ads, from newsletters, from really any source. They visit the landing page, they take the action, they get the reward. And then you want to, as you're building your landing pages or you're having somebody else build them for you, you want to think about what happens next. So great, they filled out this form, they've subscribed your newsletter, they've attended your webinar. What's going to happen next? So you want to think through the goal. Now, in our case, if you're a Lawlytics member and you've gone through the landing page that I just showed you and you've registered for this webinar, we really hope that we're going to inspire you to not only watch this webinar, but to get in there and work on your website, or to engage us if you're not creating content yourself, to create content for you. And the reason is that you're going to see more success from it, and the more success that you see from either your efforts or our efforts that you engage us for, the more success you're going to drive for both of us, because you're not only going to be a long-term customer of ours, you're going to have a successful website out there, you're going to recommend us to your friends and so forth. Now, for your practice, that may be signing up for a newsletter of influencers, where you're sending out information to people who might refer you cases. It may be that clients directly get on a newsletter. It may be that somebody gets something included, or a free consultation or something with you directly. It may be that they request a download. We have another webinar on creating and using marketing collateral. And that webinar goes very well with what we're talking about here, as you're deciding what you want people to do on your landing pages. But have it clearly thought through, the actions that you want them to take, because if you're not sure what you want them to do, then there's no way that we can reasonably expect your potential clients and referral sources to know what to do either. The elements of a landing page are this. You want a clear call to action. You want an offer. You want a targeted description, so that's very specific to what you want them to do. And that's really it. You want to remove all other distractions. Now, if you are engaging in pay-per-click advertising, and this is something that we feel very strongly about, because we see a lot of attorneys spending a lot of money on advertisements through middlemen, and they're not really getting what they should be getting out of it, especially given how expensive it is to buy traffic using paid advertising online. So your ad copy for each ad that is served should be individually written to target the search. So if somebody is searching for estate planning attorney in San Diego, and you're bidding on that word, you want to make sure that your ad copy mimics what they're going to be finding your ad using, and that the description that you have along with the ad is compelling to get them to click through, to actually get something. And then when they click through, number two is you want the copy that they're going to find on your landing page to match the experience and the expectation that was created when they saw the ad. And then you want to have that landing page quickly drive the person who you just paid anywhere from probably $10 a click to $150 or more a click to complete those actions. Why is this so important? Well, the more that your ad copy and your landing page match up, the better your ad quality score is going to be. This is going to drive down the effective cost that you're paying per visitor that you're paying for. It's going to potentially get you better results as far as placement. It's going to convert better, because people are going to be coming in already knowing what they want to do, and you just have to give them a chance to do it. Now, most people that sell pay-per-click, unless you're going directly to the vendor, meaning directly to Google, are middlemen. They're resellers. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially for very complex campaigns, if they're doing their job of creating the things that I just spoke about. But what we found is that most pay-per-click middlemen don't bother to do these things. And whatever their motivation for not doing it, whether they just don't know or whether it's intentional, the net result is that it can actually drive, this actually should say drive up their revenue, not down. So it can actually drive up their revenue because if your traffic is not targeted and you're paying more for each click, then if they're taking somewhere between 15 and 30% of everything that you spend online, the more you spend, the more they make. Plus, if they're not spending the time and effort to create that, the landing pages and craft the ads in a way that's most efficient for you, the attorney, then not only are they getting more revenue from the clicks that go through, but they're spending substantially less effort to do so. Unfortunately, what we see a lot of times are companies that buy a lot of ads for attorneys that simply point those ads to the attorney's homepage on their website. That is a serious mistake. If you're paying for pay-per-click marketing, you absolutely should do these things that we talked about before, or make sure that whoever you're paying to do your marketing is doing those for you. Other attributes of a good landing page: the landing page should be shareable. If you're paying for traffic, great. But if it converts with paying traffic, it's also going to convert with unpaid traffic. So you want people to share it with their friends on social media. You want them to email it. You want it to be mobile friendly, so that no matter what scenario they enter on, whether it's a cell phone, a tablet, or a desktop, they are going to be able to convert. You want it to not be busy. And you want it to really compel them to start taking action in 15 seconds or less, because that's about the attention span that you'll have once they go there. And by not busy, different people have different meanings for that regarding landing pages. Now, the industry, meaning the internet as a whole, when you talk about best practices for building landing pages, one of the dominant theories is don't give them any other options whatsoever other than completing the call to action that you set out for them, meaning either give you a call or fill out the form, press the button, and so forth. Based on the data that we've studied over the course of the years, we feel a little bit differently when it comes to attorney websites. We think that although you want your page to be clean and have a clear call to action in the middle, you shouldn't sacrifice having your normal law firm header from your website on there and footer. That's because people may enter in and not necessarily be ready to fill out the form right away, especially if it's something that really engages you as an attorney. They may need to know more about you. And if they don't see that information and don't have a way to easily access it, they may just go away. And so for that reason, we recommend keeping your landing page within the basic structure of your web page. And I'll show you more about that when we do the demo in just a moment. The contents of your landing page should be as followed. So you want a specific action that they can take. Typically, it's going to be a form. You want to have that form have as few fields as possible. When we build the form for our sample landing page in just a few moments, what we're going to do is build a specific form only for the page that we're doing. And by doing this within Lawlytics, you'll know that that form has only one purpose. And so you don't need to collect additional information as to what that person's intention was in filling out the form. Much like the webinar form that we showed you and that you filled out to get here, all we needed was your contact information, basically, in your name, and you're off to the races registering for the webinar. Now, there's a question of whether you should or should not have a phone number on your landing pages, call to actions. For law firms, we always recommend having a phone number somewhere on the page, as well as your address and firm name. For some states, that's an ethical imperative. For others, people in states where it's not necessarily required, it's still a good practice. But when we're talking about web pages here, it's usually best to try to drive them to take some action on the website that doesn't always involve picking up a phone, because people may not be ready for that. But if you use the structure of your website that already has the phone number in it, and all Lawlytics websites do, then at least if they want to call rather than fill out the form, they can do it. You want a clear directive on there. So you want to tell them what to do, why they should do it, and make it compelling for them to do it then and there. You want to make your incentive very clear. Who will benefit when they do it? What benefit do they get? And why do they need it? You need to make those things clear. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to fill out the form. They shouldn't be guessing. And they need to know what's going to happen when they fill out the form. So are they going to be sent something right away? Are you going to contact them? Or are they going to be sent to your calendar to schedule? So for example, on the Lawlytics website, when you go to any of our consultation buttons or to the Let's Talk button, what will happen is when you fill that out, it will give you clear instructions that you're going to be taken to our calendar to schedule an appointment for your consultation, and it will walk you through doing that. You want to have the same level of clarity when you're showing your potential clients what you want them to do on your landing pages. And finally, if there's one thing that I can emphasize, if you're having somebody do this for you, if you're doing it yourself on Lawlytics, great, you're going to be guided in the right direction. If you hire our content department to do these for you, great, you're not going to have any problem. But what we see a lot of times when lawyers delegate the creation of landing pages to marketing companies that don't specialize in lawyers and don't really know what the practice of law is like, oftentimes we see unneeded distractions and unneeded design elements being added to the page. You don't need moving objects. You don't necessarily even need videos. Anything that takes a while to appreciate, to absorb, and to digest is going to actually detract from the potential client or whoever you're targeting taking the action that you want them to take. Let's go ahead and do a quick demo. And for those of you who have not done a webinar with us, I forgot to mention earlier in the introduction that if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the questions area of the GoToWebinar control panel, and then we'll take a look at them at the end. So with that, let's go ahead and switch out to my browser here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on building this very simple page that I've already created to save time into a landing page that will still remain simple but will be gauged to convert. So let's take a look at the Lawlytics control panel. And for those of you who are not on Lawlytics, this is what it looks like when you first log in. For those of you who are already members, this will look very familiar. The first thing that we're going to do in our quest to create a landing page is we're going to go to libraries and we're going to go to forums. And let's go ahead and press new, and we'll create a new form that we're going to put in this landing page. And what we'll call this is we'll say free advanced medical directive. And we'll leave the intro text out for now because we'll imagine that we're putting that into the landing page itself. There's another webinar that goes more into depth on building forms, but so you can get more information from that if you'd like. But the form builder is fairly simple. The intro text we're going to skip. The response message is what they will see once they fill this out. We're not going to mess with that here. And we're going to say, okay, we want John Sample, who's one of our attorneys, a fictional attorney in this demo account, to receive an email when this form is filled out. So we've got free advanced medical directive. We're going to go ahead and save the form. Great. So now we have this form available to us to deploy anywhere in our Lawlytics powered web presence. Let's go back to the main page. And this is a demo account. that has a lot of websites. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Lawlytics, this is not what your account will look like. Likely you'll have 1, 2, 3 websites at the most. Some of our customers have up to 10 or a few more than that. Nobody has as many as are here because these are all of our demo sites. What we're going to do is we're going to use the Lawlytics Locator template in order to give this demonstration. And so here we've created this just basic design for a law firm, and you've got your sample landing page. So within this, what you would do is you would go to that particular sample site, and you would, to create the page, this is what it would look like when you log in. You would just press new page, and then you would go ahead and create the page. And actually creating the page is a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but pretty simple. You just type in title, is really all you need, and a little bit of content. But what you're going to do to create a landing page is you're going to uncheck display and navigation, so it doesn't display this in the various drop-down menus on this site. And you're going to uncheck enable sidebar so that it doesn't automatically put in the sidebar that may be inserted in other pages, such as this with the contact form and stuff. You want this to be a very clean page. And then all you would do is press publish. Once you press publish, it's going to end up in your other pages. So it's either in your navigation pages or in your others. And here we find our sample landing page. So when we go here, this let's go back to where we were. So this is what the sample landing page looks like now, and I've just pre-populated it with some data. Let's go ahead and we've got this filler text in here. Let's go ahead and we'll change the title of this to free. So the idea here is this is an estate planning firm, and you're going to offer get a free advanced medical directive when you do a comprehensive estate plan with us. Imagine that this filler text is just a small intro about what they get. You don't necessarily want anything more than that. And let's go ahead and take a little bit of this text and copy it down here so we have a little bit of a conclusion. And then in the middle, let's go ahead and insert our form. So we click on the form area, whoops, and then we see the form that we just created, Advanced Medical Directive, and we simply insert it there. And let's go ahead and publish this because it is already live on the web, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what this looks like now. So we've got our free Advanced Medical Directive. Very clean, we're telling them what to do. We've got the form that we want them to fill out, and this could be basically anything that you want to collect, but again, keep it very simple. And then you've got what will happen after this. And here you might want to say, well, we won't share your information, or once you fill this out, somebody from our office will call you to schedule your appointment to come in and start the estate planning process, whatever the case may be. So that's the basics of creating a landing page. It looks kind of plain though, so let's just spice it up a little bit. So let's go up to the top here, and we'll create a space, and let's just go ahead and pull up our image library, and let's just pick an image here. Doesn't really matter what it is for the purposes of this. We'll go ahead and we'll save it, and then when we go back and refresh this, so we've got a little bit of eye candy here. This may be a little bit too big. You might not want people to have to scroll this far, but it does add some depth and something interesting to the page. So you've got what they have here. You've got your form, and that's really it. Now you want to make sure that your page is mobile friendly, so that you can capture visitors wherever. About well over 50% now of visitors that we see going to all of our fleet of Lawlytics powered attorney websites are on mobile. And so if you're missing mobile, you're missing a lot of potential business. And this is just an example of responsive design. I'm sure most of you know this already, but as the size of the browser shrinks down, your page will automatically adjust. and there's no need for a separate mobile version. You've got your form in there that looks great. You've got your landing page, and everything is set. And so what you would want to do if you have somebody doing pay-per-click marketing for you, you would want to make sure that when they target it, as far as the ad copy, it says something like free advanced medical directive, and then there's something in the ad copy that mimics what they're going to get here. This clearly describes it. You drive them to take action, and that's it. Now you'll notice that we keep the navigation here, we keep the phone number, we keep the footer, and that's all intentional. You want them to say, well, I don't know who these guys are. Let me go here, and where are they located? Can I come in? Are they within driving distance? Who am I talking with? Those types of things, and then easily back out to that. So let's go ahead and switch back to our slides here. And that is really it in terms of the presentation. What I'm going to do before we get to questions is I'm going to go ahead and conclude this. I want to thank everybody for coming. This is where the recording will leave off. And if you have questions about landing pages, if you're a Lawlytics member, go through our support channels. You'll get to us immediately. If you want to discuss strategy as to how to make your marketing more effective, we're always here to talk with you about it. If you want to just try building some landing pages with us, we'll walk you through it. If you are not yet on Lawlytics and want to explore with us how it can help your firm, let us know. You can contact us at either the phone number or the email up there on the screen. You can also, by using this web address, and this is the link, the green link at the top of the website as well, you can schedule a consultation with us directly online. I'm always happy to talk with you directly as well when you're exploring this. And so if you have questions, strategy concerns, and so forth, just let us know and we'd be delighted to talk. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the recording, and let's go ahead and open it up to questions.